Hello, good evening. It's Bank Holiday Monday. It's Easter. We're back. Tonight, we are going to talk about the Ipswich emphatic win over Ipswich. We will look ahead to the Palace game, but we'll also talk Champions League, both Madrid and PSG. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to another podcast by Guns and Yellow Ribbons. This is your Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans for Arsenal fans. Enjoy the show.
Hello, good evening, lads. It's Bank Holiday Monday here in the UK. I assume it's the same in Denmark, Alex. It's good to have you back on. We've not had you on for a while. Is it a bank holiday in Denmark today?
It is very much, yes, it is. And it's good to be back. It's been a while. But good to be back with the OG panel, as you called it on Twitter.
On Twitter. I did. See, I'm down with the kids, you see. That's what it is. Trevor doesn't even know what that means.
Mr. OG.
Dan, me and you had the pleasure of each other's company for most of yesterday for about 12 hours. It was wonderful, wasn't it?
I bet that was the right pleasure, Dan.
OG yesterday, did you? God, I would have kicked you out your own car then if you said that.
I was the old git. I was driving.
Was the old git,
yeah. Trevor, you okay, mate?
I'm absolutely knackered, Ferg. Yesterday, just topped up my knackeredness from Madrid. My eyes are leaking. I'm tired. I want to go to sleep. But yeah, we've got so much to talk about, haven't we, eh? So much to talk about. Wonderful.
It's quite fun. It's quite funny. Yesterday at the away pub, which is just by the bridge near the station, the atmosphere was quite good. They had a DJ and everything in there. But like Dan, myself, yourself, I've never seen so much alcohol-free beers and ciders and Guinnesses being drank. Everyone was on the zeros because everyone was either some driving like me, or some just hanging and probably got so much alcohol left in the system, Dan, from like 3-4 days in Madrid. How was it? We haven't spoken properly, have we?
It's because I've not been able to speak since, because the alcohol's still within my system, if I'm totally honest. It's, how much detail do you want me to go into? It was a brilliant trip, brilliant performance by the players, by the fans. Yeah, I'd probably say my favourite European away that I've done.
It was very difficult listening to everyone recalling the memories and saying it was their favourite away day. But the other thing they kept on recalling was, Dan, you were so pissed. I've never seen you so pissed.
Yeah, I don't like bumping into people because they keep telling me a few more things that's happened, and I'm starting to piece it back together. And best left in the past, I think.
Alex, Copenhagen in the Gooners Bar in Copenhagen, was it?
It was, yeah. Yeah, I watched it with with some of my mates there, Jasper, who a lot of people will know from Block 5. And yeah, the atmosphere was really good, but of course, would have much rather been in the Bernabeu, like the rest of you guys, Dan and Trevor at least. But yeah, it was just a magical night. I think a lot of us was still a bit afraid, even though with the lead we had, but you never know when it's Real Madrid. I think if it was any other club, we would have been pretty safe and felt safe going into that game. But yeah, it was Madrid and it was the Bernabeu and it was massive. But yeah, we pulled through and it was just one of those nights, wasn't it?
Did you ever feel nervous at all, Alex?
Did I feel nervous?
I
did, yeah. Massively going into the game, yeah.
You did with 3-0.
I did, yeah. I was really nervous.
I was reasonably confident going in at 3-0. I got nervous when they equalised. Trevor, at what point, if any, did you get nervous?
It was a strange feeling because I kept saying to myself, you should be really happy and comfortable and confident here because we're a fantastic side. No team's going to come back from 3-0 down against us. And then I kept giving myself a bit of a reality check and saying, but it's Real Madrid and they've done this before and, you know, they they reach the semi-finals of the Champions League nearly every year, but really and truthfully, I shouldn't have worried because it was a thrashing. It was a proper thrashing, and I was all right at the start of the game, calmed down. Then, of course, Bukayo missed the penalty, and my nerves were shot again, thinking, surely not. It's not going to be one of them nights. But at the end of the night, it turned out perfectly okay. Perfectly okay. And by the way, please stop saying we beat Real Madrid. We didn't beat Real Madrid. We absolutely hammered Real Madrid out of sight. You know?
Fair comment. Dan, anything to add on your trip to Madrid before we go into the Ipswich game?
No, I didn't really get nervous. The only point I got nervous was when I clicked book on those flights to Munich, to be honest with you. That's about it.
Dan got me barred, right? Dan got me barred from a pub.
Yeah.
Because I was all right, and then Dan started singing. So, of course, I'd had a few beers, so I took my shirt off and joined in the singing, you know what I mean? And the bouncers they were a bit wary, actually, the bouncers of us, but they weren't very happy. So we left, and I blame Dan for it, because if he hadn't have started singing, I wouldn't have started stripping, and we'd have all been okay, you know?
All I remember is the comment on the way out was, this is the Bernabeu. This is not the beach. Please put your shirt back on.
So I can remember this big bouncer come over to me, and me being like I am, he said, your shirt. He pointed at my shirt, and I went, oh, you want my shirt? Yeah, you can have my shirt. He went, no, put your shirt on. Oh, dear.
Not the first time you've heard that, is it, Trev?
Yeah.
I'm normally getting asked to take it off. You know, I have that kind of effect on women, but you know, I can't help it.
Donna didn't say that. Listen, we absolutely annihilated Ipswich 4-0. We're going to talk about that first. So let's look at the lineups on that game. The lineup on that game was Ray in goal, White, Saliba, Kivior, Zinchenko, Rice, Marino, Odegaard, Saka, Martinelli, and Trossard. Alex, were you happy with the lineup? There was 3 changes: White, Cini, and Trossard in for Partey, Timber, and Lewis Skelly. Did you think that was the right thing to do?
Yeah, I did. I think there was a lot of talk about how much he was going to rotate. Of course, looking ahead of to the next Champions League game and managing players and so on. But I think it was important to keep building the momentum from Madrid and build on towards PSG. So I thought it was the right thing to put out a relatively strong squad. And yeah, it was brilliant to see the right side of Ben White, Saka, and Odegaard again, which was the first time since November, I think. And then just a few changes. Good to see Cini playing again. I think he's been pretty good since he's come in over the past couple of weeks. And then I was a bit surprised Partey got a rest because he's not going to play the PSG game. But I suppose it's just managing his fitness still. He's played a lot of games this season, which we're not used to. But it was a really strong lineup with both Marino and then our usual front three with Trossard and Saka and Martinelli. So yeah. And that song.
Don't do it. Trevor, really good point about Partey not being available for a week on Tuesday, 8 days' time. Would you have played him?
Before the game, when I saw he wasn't playing, I thought, why isn't he playing Partey? He's not going to play in the semi-final. But then I thought to myself, especially when I saw he dropped Mourinho into a bit deeper, I thought, Arteta's using this to see how the best team we can put out without Partey for the semi-final. I'm sure, in my head anyway, I'm sure that's what went on. He was looking at his options for the first leg against PSG, and he thought, I'm not playing Partey because we won't have him against PSG, so we'll see how it goes from there. And Danny said, as Danny just said, I absolutely agree. That is exactly what my thought was. And I think it's the right thing to do. Nothing against Thomas Partey. And well, the only thing I've got against Partey is he was bloody stupid to get booked in the last minute at Madrid. But no, I think that Arteta was exactly right not to play him and look at how players played in other positions. The only thing we've got to remember is that Ipswich Town are not Paris Saint-Germain.
Absolutely. Dan, we talked about it throughout the game. And it was interesting that when the substitutions were made on the 70th minute or whatever it was, 57th minute, when Saka and Moreno were taken off, it was for Lewis Skelly and Wanyeri. And you said it was really interesting to see that, because I mentioned about playing maybe Lewis Skelly in that number 6 role alongside whoever, Rice or whoever's available. Did you like the change up and the experimentation? Especially, you would have thought we had a little bit of wiggle room against a side like Ipswich.
Yeah, I mean, if you're 3 and 4-0 up, then it's a good time to experiment, right? You're not going to get much better times to try it. Even in friendlies, you don't quite get the match intensity as you do in the Premier League. So it's a good time to try it. I think it was a combination of a couple of niggles as well. I think people are forgetting that Partey went off injured before the Real Madrid game, the previous game. So he was a bit touch and go to play against Real Madrid. I think that's a part of the reason why he wasn't playing. I also think you'll see him come in maybe midweek, maybe Rice be rested. I think you'll see a bit of rotation across this game and the next game. On top of that, I also think experimenting for PSG. I think if Jorginho's not fit, then the midfield 3 that we played against Ipswich and that starting up 3 up top will be the same 6 that starts against PSG. But if Jorginho's fit, I think it would just mean he pushes Moreno up top again still. I think he's been too good up there not to play him against PSG. He's just such an outlet that even when we get pressed, if we get pressed really well, we need to go over the top. He's a guy that can hold the ball up pretty well. And you're not going to get that with Trossard. So I'd be surprised if he doesn't play Moreno up top unless both Partey and Jorginho was out. Part of the reason why he played Lewis Skelly there, I think, is to try him there. I think Timber could also be someone that comes in if Ben White's fit, which is probably why Ben White started at right back as well.
Listen, you mentioned Trossard, but Trossard on the 14th minute to get the first goal, it was Saka and Odegaard in to play together. And the ball came to Trossard. He should have scored a few minutes earlier, but then he dribbled this ball past the keeper. Trevor, what did you make of that goal? And could you see it from like the sitting down seats?
Yeah, absolutely. I was sat there with my feet up, loads of leg room in the sunshine. I've got a red head today, a bit sore, but never mind. It was lovely down there in the sunshine.
Unlike us, who had to squeeze into these gaps.
Yeah. So I bet you'd have rather been sitting down, wouldn't you, Fergus, in the sunshine?
I don't know. I got stuck.
Anyway, listen, I can't I'll just hold that a minute, right, about Trossard, because talking about Moreno dropping into midfield actually worries me, Ferg, right? Because I rate the lad. I think he's been absolutely superb. And I think he's been that superb that if we had a fully fit Kai Havertz, I wouldn't drop Moreno to put him in. I wouldn't. I think Moreno has matched him for goals scored. He's matched him for assists. And I think that Moreno has now put a real shout out to play in that role until we get a full out striker. So, yeah, I really rate the kid. He's had a lot of stick off of some Arsenal fans as well as Moreno. A lot of stick. And it was every single word of that stick has been undeserved. Because he's really not let us down at all. Going back to the Trossard goal, I had to watch it back today, Ferg, right? Because I saw the ball trickle into the net and I thought, how did that happen? I didn't have a clue how it happened. And it was just a little toe poke straight through the defender's legs. Wasn't it lovely? That'll do for us to start with. We were the better side from start to finish, and you knew a goal would come. I just thought it might be a bit of a screamer instead of a little toe poke like that, mate.
Dan, do you think Trossard could have done better overall? Okay, he got 2 goals, he got man of the match, but he had a lot of opportunities in that first 20, 25 minutes. He could have done a little bit better. I'm being hypercritical here, I know.
You're being something else. I'm not using the words.
Yeah, I'll be honest, mate. I think you're clutching now. I don't think there's much you could have done better. It wasn't Trossard that missed most of the chances, if I'm totally honest. But
No, we know that. We know that. We'll get onto that one in a minute. But yeah, listen,
I'm,
the
I'm,
second
I'm
goal
more
was.
struck by Trev's comment about Marino starting up top, though, instead of Havertz. Because listen, Marino's done fantastic. He's done better than any of us could imagine. He's done better than probably even the coaching staff and himself would have imagined. But if Havertz is fully fit, he gets back into that side and he starts.
Not a chance.
Absolutely no. Trevor. Honestly, he would get it ahead of Marino. Marino and Rice would rotate, or Marino and Partey and Rice. That sort of area, they'll rotate.
So you're telling me now I'm not allowed to have an opinion?
No, you're not.
Hey, is this the same person that thought Trossard was crap yesterday?
I didn't say he was crap. I thought some of his finishing could have been a bit better.
You never use the words, but you never use the words, but you said it.
No, I didn't.
I'm wondering whether you watched the back of that blue pylon all day and not the game. To be honest with you,
I must admit, I stuck right beside it. I was stuck beside one of them. Mind you, that was my view. The view of the pitch was actually quite clear, so I could see it very well. And we did say, Dan, that it was nice to have the high up view and you actually could watch the ball, bar when it was kicked way up in the air and it was.
Don't deflect this to me, mate. It's you versus Trev, and I'm enjoying this quite.
No. It's fine. Listen, another goal, Trevor. I will go to you on this one because I think it was last week against Brentford. We talked about a goal that was worked out from the back from Saka to Rice to Partey. Very similar on the half hour for our second goal. Worked out from the defence. Saliba passes to Trossard to Saka, and then a beautiful flick on by Marino to Gabby, who scores the goal. And then we go la 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 la. But yeah, what a great goal! How well it was worked.
Is that the Marino that you two have said is crap and shouldn't get in the side of others? I've never seen Havertz play a pass like that. Never have I seen Havertz do something like that in the box. Never in a million years have I seen it. He's a big old donkey, he's Havertz. I love him to bits. Right? But Marino's got a better goal ratio. Marino's got a better assist ratio since he's playing there. And the stat man shaking his head, who's always throwing stats at me, I've started coming around to the stats now, and now he's shaking his head again. I can't win without Daniel, can I? Hey,
do you want to and the eye test, Trevor, and the eye test. There's no way Havertz is dropped for Marino.
Move it beyond that. Let's talk about that goal though. How it came out from Saliba's pass to Trossard to Saka, the little flick on by Marino. Alex, you mentioned in our WhatsApp chat about how good that was. And then Gabby scores a great goal. And we're all wanting to score a goal because we could sing that song.
Yeah, it was very much like watching, was it the season 2 years ago where we played so direct every game. And it was like this in this game as well. It was just relentless pressure. And yeah, so direct in our passing. And as you mentioned, it was, I think it was maybe, Saliba to Odegaard, out to Saka, to Marino, and then
to Trossard. Trossard gets injured as well.
Oh yeah, he does. Yeah,
second, and then that went on to Odegaard to not to Saka, and then on to Marino and Gabby.
Yeah, but it was just a beautifully worked goal. And yeah, I think it was our goal number 100 this season. It was either Trossard's first or Martinelli's the second. That was our goal number 100 this season.
Oh, right. I know that.
And then, of course, the stat we've been talking about earlier today, when Martinelli scores, we don't lose the game because every single game he scored in for Arsenal, we haven't lost the game. 44 matches now. Just a bit of a funny, crazy stat there. But yeah, he's really come into form now, Martinelli. He's been playing really, really good the past couple of games. Madrid, and he's using his pace and his finishing is getting a bit better and getting into the right position. So, yeah, he's come into form just at the right time of the season where it matters now.
He's got his mojo back, isn't he? He's got his mojo back. He looks like he's a yard quicker. He looks a yard quicker than he has been for months and months. He's, I think he's been playing wonderfully. I think he's been supporting Marino through the middle perfectly. They gel, them two. Really works well.
Listen, referees come into a lot of criticism by us and the football fan base. But Kavanagh, the referee, in the build-up to that second goal, Trossard got injured, Dan. And we'll talk about like Ipswich's tactics and how dirty they were separately. But the referee overall, he really let it flow well. And to allow that to flow for the build-up to that goal, it's nice to see for a change, isn't it?
To be honest, mate, I can't really talk about Trossard because I've just quickly Googled some stats in the background for the stat man up there. And it's very interesting. Havertz's goal ratio is a goal every, goals per match is 0.46 versus Marino's 0.33 in this current season. So at the minute, Havertz is still averaging more goals per game than Marino. And around the same shots per goal. So his finishing percentage is also a bit higher.
Trev said after he got played as a number 9.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Saying, not when he was playing in midfield, donuts.
Havertz also played in midfield a few games, mate, in that. So the stats don't lie.
Do you know what? Do you know what, Ferg? The first night we was in Madrid, right? There was about 6 or 7 of them in our apartment, and I was going to bed. And I went into my bedroom, and I looked over my shoulder, and I see them all looking. I thought, what are these planning? What are they planning? So I went back to the kitchen drawer and got the biggest, sharpest knife out I could find, right? And I just said to him, this is coming in my bedroom. I get scared in the dark. And when I wake up, I get scared. So if that door opens, I'm just coming out of bed swinging. I won't be looking. I'm sorry, boys. Put it down. Never heard a word. Never heard a word all night. Lovely. Good boys. Good boys.
To be honest, mate, you don't often say much when you've got a nutter in your house with a knife, do you? So leave him be.
Thank
Trev,
you, Arnie.
What did you make of Kavanagh's performance then, especially allowing that injury, which most referees would have called back because he's rolling around the ground, like looking really, really hurt. Trossard is at that point. Did you think his performance overall was really was good?
Who are you asking?
Trevor, because Dan refused to answer it.
Why didn't you say Trev?
I did.
That simple little guy, you know. Yeah, I thought Kavanagh had one of the better games that he's had with us. I still don't rate him as a ref. As for him not blowing up when Trossard went down, they tend not to blow up nowadays when a player goes down for a few seconds, do they? Because they know that 99% of the time they're play acting, they're pretending they're injured. So they let it go on. I think that they even have a little signal now, you know, when they look at the players, and the players actually signal whether they're actually injured or whether they're actually playing up, you know. So he let the game go correctly, I thought. It was a few seconds. And, I thought Kavanagh, I don't rate him. I don't like this he does. This shrug really annoys me. But he's had worse games for the Arsenal, let's put it that way.
Yeah, he did, especially when he sent Declan Rice off for something I've never seen since.
Exactly.
Let's talk about the foul on Saka. Leif Davis, a straight red card offence. Any debate? Who wants to come in first on that one? Any debate on whether it could be a red card defence, a red card or not a red card? He's from my point of view, his foot was up like that. His studs were showing. He wasn't even poking in to try and nick the ball away from anybody. And he went straight down the back of him and took his Achilles out. And people are talking about it, the way Saka pulled his leg up. Well, if somebody had just like stabbed you in the back of the leg, you'd pull it out of the way very quickly. Dan, I'll come to you this time and you can redeem yourself and try and answer a question.
Is that Dan from the darkness?
It is Dan from the darkness.
Dan from the darkness.
On my wall, it's making the camera look dark. This time of year, mate. Sorry about that. You don't want to see my face anyway. No, I think it's definitely a red. Look, in all honesty, it reminds me of an old-fashioned tackle where a fullback's trying to leave one on a winger and let him know he's there. And I think that's what he's tried to do, and he's tried to hit him with his studs, and you can't do that in today's game. So, quite rightly, a red.
And Alex, we saw afterwards, after he got substituted, that the ice was packed on and everything else. Thankfully, Arteta has said that was precautionary. He felt some pain, but they don't believe there's some permanent damage. But a nasty tackle, especially considering he's just come back after, 12 weeks off.
Yeah, I think we all got a bit worried when he went down like he did. It reminded a bit of the one, I think it was Emerson that got sent off for Tottenham at the Emirates a couple of years ago, where he left a similar tackle on Martinelli, where just come from the back, where no intention to play the ball, and then just starts on his Achilles. So for me, it's rightfully a red, a straight red. There's no intention to play the ball. So I was quite pleased that he showed him the red straight away without needing VAR to intervene or anything. So that was I was happy with that. But glad he played on Saka. I think it's important that he gets some minutes under his belt, because I think we all saw he was still a bit rusty when he had a lot of chances in the first half. I thought he should have scored. But I mean, his one-on-one play is just so superb still, and he just glides past players on the wing. But I think he needs some more minutes against Palace, and then he'll be ready for PSG.
Trevor, Saka got booed by the home fans every time he touched the ball. It's like when Davis kicked his ankle, he kicked like off kilter, so his aim was off a little bit, because he had 3 great chances that he should have actually scored with. But booing an England striker, or an England winger, whilst he's an opposition player, but he doesn't have a bad bone in his body. He's actually quite a decent, nice fella. I just couldn't understand what they're all about booing him.
It's got nothing to do with him being a good player or a bad player or an England winger or whatever. It's just you could just cut it down to player, Ferg, mate. Player. I mean, that was a horrendous tackle. He stamped down on the back of his leg. Being down the front, it wasn't far away from me. He stamped down on the back of his leg. Saka reacted like he did because he felt extreme pain in that moment, and I was really, really worried, really worried. Fortunately, he's okay. The player was rightly sent off, but you're right, and we have to mention it. The behaviour of the Ipswich fans, well, they're no better than Stoke fans. To boo a player just because he's been kicked by one of your own, I couldn't quite work it out. They come from quite a remote part of the country, do Ipswich fans, so they might be a bit inbred or something. I don't know. Anything's possible. They may not have.
There was a song being sang about sisters and mothers.
I mean, I was right next to the Ipswich fans, and there was one in there in particular. He was definitely his picnic box didn't have the full amount of sandwiches in. It really didn't. It was
getting cancelled tomorrow. We're getting cancelled in the morning.
Yeah, and then you've got them laughing at Saka being injured. They were disgraceful. I quite rated Ipswich as a club, and Ipswich make this massive point of being a friendly family club, right?
Yeah.
Are they hell? Are they hell? Just that one instance of that kind of behaviour from their fans relegates them from up there right down to Stoke level. Thankfully, they're that bad. They'll be playing Stoke next season. So, the last laugh's with us, eh?
Barry Bird asked about the song. Yeah, it was the Addams Family song. Yeah, that was. Yeah. Right, so the substitutions that we said made on 57 minutes. Saka and Marino were taken off for Miles Lewis-Skelly and Nwaneri. I asked Dan about the fact that we played Lewis-Skelly in the number 6 role. Trevor and Alex, I'll go to Trevor first. How did you think he performed in that role?
I'm not sure where I want to see him play. I think you're talking about Skelly, right?
Yeah.
Right, you're talking about Skelly. Now, he's obviously going to be the type of player that's going to be able to play anywhere on the pitch. He's that good. He's that confident. He's that skillful. But when I'm putting him into possibly a Champions League semi-final arena and asking him not to play the position he's played all season, inside me, I think, he'll be fine. He'll absolutely carry it off if he has to do it. But deep down inside me, I'm thinking, should we really move him? Should we look at other options and leave him at left back inverted when he wants to be? I'm not quite sure on it, Ferg, to be honest, son. I'm not quite sure.
Alex, in the unders, he plays in that more sort of central role, doesn't he? So to see him playing a senior role in that position, how did you think he fared? It wasn't there for long; he was only like half hour or so. But you may have watched him in some of the under games as well.
Yeah, I think we can all see what his best ability is, and that is carrying the ball through midfield. His ball carrying is unreal, like the way he glides past players and like his quick turns and anticipation of when the pressure is coming is so good. And yeah, I agree with Trev. Like I think long term he can come into midfield. I don't think it's going to happen towards the end of this season, but with the abilities and the skill set he's got, obviously he can play in midfield. And like Trev said, he can nearly play anywhere. But I think for the rest of the season, I just want to see him play left back because he is our best player there at the moment with Calafiori injured. And I think even with Calafiori available, I'd still play Lewis Skelly. The way he played against Real Madrid over 2 legs was something else for an 18-year-old. And I think some of you might have seen the video as well. He was just so unbothered by playing at the Bernabeu, playing against Mbappe, Vinicius, and so on. So I think I'll just play him at left back for the rest of the season, and then maybe go from there and see where Arteta wants to develop him, and see if he's going to play in midfield.
Dan, that's interesting because if Ben White's available, you'd like to probably see if Ben White's available on that right-hand side with Odegaard and Saka. That would be my preferred 3 on that right-hand side. If Timber's available, I'd consider having Timber at left back. So that would put Miles Lewis-Skelly probably on the bench. Or if Partey's not available, which he's not against PSG, is that when you try him in that position? And I don't think you actually said what you thought of how he performed in that role on the day.
I'll be honest. I think at the minute, when everyone's fully fit, I still think Timber starts right back, Lewis Skelly starts left back, and that's just because Ben White at the minute's not got the game time. He's not quite up to speed of where he was. When they're all fully fit, Ben White, Timber, and Lewis Skelly, it could easily be interchangeable between any of those 3. The suspension to Partey changes a little bit, but it all depends for me on Jorginho's fitness and where he is as to who plays where. But I'd have no problem starting Lewis Skelly at left back now in any game. He's shown that he can do it even at 18. I don't think he'll end up being a 6, if I'm honest. I don't think he's quite got the characteristics of a 6. And I think what also is making him excel at left back is that when he inverts in, he's got someone like Partey next to him who's quite athletic and covers ground well, very experienced. He knows when to cut passing lines and to, when to break up play. Lewis Skelly hasn't quite got that. If he's going to be a 6 on his own, he would need someone supporting him. But I would say he could play as an 8. And he reminds me a little bit like Jack Wilshere, if I'm totally honest. He's got that little burst of speed to go past the player. He's got the confidence to take the ball and run with it, dribble with the ball very close to his feet as well. I think he could end up playing as an 8. And we saw that with Wilshere in his career under Wenger. He moved further forward. And I think that's something that Lewis Skelly could do. So
you see him alongside Odegaard eventually?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's look at 70 minutes in. You got Thrashed scores the 3rd goal, his 9th of the season from a set piece, Trevor. Nice to see set pieces coming back because we haven't scored since Christmas. I don't think we've scored that many goals with set pieces. It was good to see them work well, and we'll probably need them against PSG.
We need everything we can get against PSG. I've watched their latest performance back, and they're definitely a different side from the side we beat comfortably earlier in the season. Set pieces, yeah, they're always going to drop off because every team not only has attacking coaches, they have defensive coaches. So they would have seen what we were doing earlier in the season at set pieces, corners in particularly, and worked out how to defend against them. And that's why we've dropped off with our scoring from them. But yeah, it was good. I was really pleased for Thrashed. But I've got this thing interesting here. I'm going to just chuck something at you guys and everyone listening as well. I don't know if I want Thrashed starting in the semi-final of the Champions League. I don't think I do. I love the kid. I watched him closely yesterday. Every time he gets minutes, he makes those minutes count most of the time. I'm still not sure. This is what I was thinking about earlier when you said about Marino dropping deep, Trossard up front. I don't know. Something inside me is saying I don't want Trossard starting against.
I personally prefer Trossard to come on after Martinelli, because I think Martinelli wears out defenders and midfielders, and then Trossard comes on and picks up the pieces. But the form that Martinelli has been on of recent times, he's almost on. You cannot not pick him at the minute. But would you possibly maybe leave Trossard out, Dan, and then bring Wanyeri in?
No, neither of the two, really. I mean, look, if everyone's fully fit, they don't start for me. Trossard's definitely an impact player off the bench, but with players out injured, we may have to play him because we may have no other options than to drop Marino deeper. But don't forget, Trossard started against PSG earlier in the season. He played up top with Havertz in a 4-4-2. So, and you look at those sides that played, both sides are going to have 3 or 4 changes from that game. Like, you also got to consider PSG. I think Barcola started on the wing with Doué and is it Lee Kangin? I think started up top for PSG. So they didn't have Dembele starting. They didn't have Kvaratskhelia starting. There's 2 changes already. I think there was a couple of others that might come in. And so both sides are going to have a few changes from that game. Very different form from PSG, but if everyone's fit, for me, Trossard still doesn't start.
Okay. Finishing up on this game, then there was some substitutions. 74th minute, we had Rice and Martinelli taken off. Kieran Tierney and Sterling came on. We'll touch on Sterling briefly. And then Trossard was taken off for Butler Adeji. Odegaard hit the post, and he has had no goal since February in the league. Butler Adeji, with his first shot, was a shot on target and forced a save from... My screen's just gone. Forced a save from the Ipswich keeper. And then finally, Wanyeri, who came on, has got his 4th league goal to seal the deal at 4-0. Trevor, talk to me about Sterling. Now, I looked at him and listen. I know there's one song that went around that was like, people said we can't sing that, and then it was changed to if Sterling scores a goal, we're on the pitch. And then they brought in the Butler scores a goal, and then there was the Butler Adeji song, which I thought was great. But Sterling, even when offered clear opportunities to ping a ball in or take a shot, just looked totally devoid of any confidence. Like, as long as he wears an Arsenal shirt, I'm going to support him. But I'm not digging him out. But he just looked devoid of total confidence.
Well, he possibly heard what was coming from some Arsenal fans. I mean, there was an Arsenal fan sat a couple of seats up from me. I've not seen him before, don't know him. Not a young man. I've gotten all right with him all day. And then when Sterling come on, some of the things he was saying, it just embarrassed me to be an Arsenal fan watching an Arsenal player, right? No Arsenal player that walks onto that field, whether you love him, whether you hate him, deserves to be called a CUNT, right? None.
Oh, wow.
None. Not one. I don't care who you name, right? And when a player, you travel all them miles to support the Arsenal Football Club, and Sterling comes on, well, we all know hasn't done it for Arsenal. He's shortly about to leave the club. If you support Arsenal Football Club, then you support Sterling. He's wearing a red and white shirt, right? And I thought when he come on, he just didn't know what to do. His confidence is absolutely shot. I thought actually, I was right down by the touchline, wasn't I? I thought he actually looked a bit embarrassed at times. His confidence is that low. It was shocking. And I thought it was shocking what some Arsenal fans were saying about him. And they need to remember, it's not funny to call players out like that because they were laughing. It's not funny, right? If you're going to go to a football game and call an Arsenal player a CUNT, then why go? Why don't go? Stay at home and swear at the telly like the other idiots do. You know what I mean? If you go in that stadium, you go in that stadium to support the team regardless. Absolutely regardless. Nothing given. No excuses. Not one single excuse, right? Right? If he'd have bought Earpod Albert on, I'd have supported him and screamed and shouted support for him. Everyone. And I'm really disappointed in a few Arsenal fans who went over the top yesterday. They were singing, if Sterling scores, we're on the, that's fine. We're having a bit of a laugh. But there's a level. And it went beyond it with a few people yesterday. And I was actually embarrassed.
Dan?
Not often I agree with every single word that Trev says, but I think from first word to the last, I agree with everything he said. And I said the same to you yesterday, mate, at the game when people were singing even that about Sterling. It's not for me. I don't think it's what we should be doing. The lad, I don't believe for 1 second isn't going to try. I think his confidence is shot, and he's, don't forget, he's also had no real game time. So if you're a footballer and you're just training and not playing in matches, you don't get up to the speed of games. He's got a few minutes here and there. He's got fans shouting at him that's supposed to be supporting him. I don't know what people expect from him, really. I think I feel sorry for him. I still think there might be a big moment for him. I think fans need to remember that we might still need him. That there might be a 5-minute cameo in a final where he might nick us a goal. He might do something, and we still may need him. And while he's wearing the Arsenal shirt, you should be supporting every single player. Surely we've learned from the likes of a Boe and that sort of situation before where we shouldn't be doing that. Clearly not. But yeah, disgusting from fans to be doing that. I don't think it shows a class of the club. It doesn't show what we should be doing if we want him to play better. You should be supporting him. And even when we try and get, a little bit in jest, but a song going for him, people comment saying, I'm not going to sing that for him. Like, okay, fine. If you don't want to sing it, fine. I don't really understand it, if I'm honest. It's not me.
A player that has flourished in the unders and had his Premier League debut yesterday at, I think, 17 or 18 years of age.
He's older than that, isn't he? I think he's 20-something.
Is he 20-something?
I believe he's a bit older than that. He's in his early 20s, I think.
He's 22, but Deji,
yeah.
Okay. I thought he was younger than that. Sorry. What did you make of his debut then, Alex?
I thought he did all right. I mean, he's not going to be playing for the Arsenal probably after this season. He's been sat on the bench a lot because of the injuries we've had, and I mean, he's an attacker, and when you don't even get any game time with the amount of injuries we've had, he's going to move on. But I thought it was nice to bring him on with the lead we had. And I thought he did all right, nearly scored with that effort when he came on. So, yeah, I mean, he hasn't had his breakthrough into the first team. It happens all the time. Players perform well in the unders and then they don't translate it into the senior football. But I thought it was nice to give him his debut in a game like that. So yeah, and then I just saw Lyle mention Kivior and very much agree with Lyle. And it happens all the time. Players cuss over players. Fans cuss over players like Sterling. And then when we need them the most, like Kivior, and they play game after game and they do well, then they'll suddenly start supporting them. So I don't get why you don't get behind the players in the tough times, because you never know. Yeah, it can flip on a plate and so much can happen in a short amount of time. Gabby's out now and we've needed Kivior and he's stepped up massively and been so good. Nearly kept a clean sheet in 2 games against Madrid. Did well yesterday. His playing out from the back is getting better and better every game, and his defending has always been pretty good, I thought. And it's just, yeah, he doesn't get.
It's just his confidence off the ball, or he's thinking off the ball. I think, as you say, his defending is quite good, but the speed and the way we play the ball out, I think him and Saliba have learned to play well together as well. And I've watched Saliba cover the little bits that Kivior can't do well, and Kivior stayed further back, allowing Saliba. We've seen Saliba go up the pitch up an awful lot more as well.
Yeah, I think Saliba's stepped up as well. I think he's taken more of a leader role in defence, whereas maybe before it was Gabby more so. I think Saliba's really stepped up after Gabby's injury. And like you said, I think they've grown as a pair as well and learned each other's strengths and weaknesses. So I'm quite comfortable with those two, finishing the season together.
It finished Ipswich 0, Arsenal 4. Ipswich aren't down yet. They've got to play Newcastle next weekend when they'll probably go down. Arsenal versus Crystal Palace is midweek. We have no football for ourselves next weekend because Crystal Palace are in the FA Cup semi-finals along with Aston Villa. So, Trevor, let's talk about this. How much do you change up? We don't have to go into a huge amount of detail on it because I know you probably want to talk about PSG as well. But if we look at this game, how much rotation do we need?
Look, Ferg, I say it every week now. Every week I say it. And every week I mean it, right? I trust Arteta, so whatever he wants to do will be okay with me. I think he'll maybe use the game to do a little bit more experimenting, although Palace are a lot better side than Ipswich, so we have to be careful. I think Partey will probably come in for a bit of time. And what else can he do? Kivior and Saliba have got to play, really. I agree with everything you boys have said about Kivior. I think he's been off the scale. There's a lot of clickers on certain social media stations that were like that over their button, ready to press it with Kivior. You know, they were waiting. They were ready to go. And I'm over the moon at the fact they've not had one chance to click that button because he's been absolutely superb. So we play Palace. Yeah, possibly the same side as against Ipswich. I don't know. You know, with maybe Partey having a little bit of a role to play. But having said that, does he want to put Partey into a side against Palace that's next game is PSG? Does he want to break that shape? Does he want to bring the momentum on of what he's planning? Who knows, Fergie? Who knows with Arteta? As I said, all I know is he'll do for me, mate.
Dan, Jeff's hang on, Jeff was here. Yeah, Jeff is right. He said we need to keep up the momentum. How much do you change it? Because we talked when we were watching the game and ahead of the game when we're in the pub, all drinking zero alcohol. That you know, winning breeds winning, and I put it in the title of all of this. We need to just build momentum, keep on winning, keep on scoring goals. You mentioned last season the run that we went on. How much do you change it for Palace?
Yeah, exactly that, mate. Listen, that in the running last year and even the season before, we had spats of form where we scored 4, 5s, and 6s, and when you get on that run, it's very easy to continue it. And we need that. We need that momentum. We do need to protect some players because we've got a few players that, because of the other injuries, we're quite light on the squad. We've got a few players that have clearly been playing through a few little niggles as well. I think we also need to still win some more games in the league to make sure we get second place. Let's not let that slip. So I think for that reason, Arteta will go with a strong side, but I think he will take no risks. So you look at the likes of Saka, maybe that's had, not long come back, maybe a niggle because of the Ipswich game. He might be rested. Timber may not play a full 90 because, again, he's played a lot of minutes and he's had a few niggles. But on the other hand, you've got players that need to build partnerships, and Kivior and Saliba is one that does need to build a partnership. I would love to see Saliba rested, but I understand if they play because they need to build minutes together to, exactly as you said, know the strengths and weaknesses of each other. And they're building it up slowly. I think they've played 9 games unbeaten now. I think 6 wins and 3 draws, I believe. So I'm expecting a strong side. You've got to respect Palace, who are a decent side. But I also think Palace will rest some players ahead of their semi-final in the weekend. So hopefully we can rest a few, get through a win, and then head on to PSG with a lot of confidence. But I can't move on without looking at Lyle's comment. And Lyle said about for Trevor going to war with Kivior before on the podcast before. And he's absolutely right. And self-included, I said I wouldn't start him. And look, hindsight's a wonderful thing, and I stand by at that time I wouldn't have started him, but he's absolutely proved everyone wrong. But this is exactly why, even if you don't think someone should start, you don't jump on their back and you don't criticize them, call them out like some people do. And we've seen that now with so many players. You've had David Raya, people call him out when they wanted Ramsdale. They called out Marino. They've called out Kivior. They've been calling out Partey at times, and I think he's been brilliant. They've been calling out Martinelli, and he's coming to some great form. And people are now on Ødegaard's back, and I think people need to remember that class is permanent and give them time, give them game time, get behind them and lift them up.
Yeah, the Ødegaard criticism, I think, is some of it is founded in the sense that he hasn't had as good a season as he's had previously. I caveat that with he's had an injury. He's had the players he plays with for closely with in Ben White and Saka also having injuries, and his wife's had a baby. So that
I think it is, mate. I think because some of it isn't criticism, right? Everyone can critique him and say that he hasn't performed well, or he's not maybe making those passes he did. He's not scoring as many goals. Fine, that's a critique that I can take. But people that are jumping on his back saying he's not good enough, sell him, he shouldn't be playing.
Oh, but they're idiots.
It's ridiculous. But a lot of people are saying that, and I think it's something that actually bugs me is that I don't hear his name sung a lot, and I just think he's our captain and someone that, as fans, we should be getting behind a lot more than we do. And I
started a song. I started a song on Sunday.
I genuinely don't understand why, as a fan base, we don't encourage him more, given he's our captain.
No, that's a fair point.
Just I don't know. It sounds like I'm going on at them tonight, but certain aspects of the Arsenal fan base I have a bee in my bonnet with, right? Because it's not just Arsenal, Trevor.
Look at the Liverpool fans that are coming along and claiming songs and.
I don't give a shit about Liverpool or any other club. Couldn't give a toss.
What I'm saying is modern day social media.
I'm an Arsenal fan, so I'm going to call Arsenal fans out. Okay. Ødegaard, you can see that his energy levels and his effort levels haven't dropped off at all. At all. He's all over the park. He's just maybe he's lost a little. His final touch has gone a little bit since his injury, or maybe he's just not quite sure of what way he's going. But his energy and his effort levels haven't dropped off. And much as Martinelli, Ødegaard will come good again. And what fans need to be doing at the Arsenal is not saying Ødegaard's crap, Ødegaard needs selling, they need to be backing him and supporting him and help him. Because as fans, we help players. We help them get their form back. We help them improve. We help them score more goals. We help them get their confidence higher because we give them support. And that's the end of it. That's all it is, folks. I wasn't calling you out there.
No.
I don't know what it is at the moment. Some Arsenal fans, I'm not going to name any names, Ferg. Don't go into panic mode, right? But some Arsenal, especially now we've come really good again, right? And we're really flying. I look at some Arsenal fans. I saw one or two yesterday, right? With their Arsenal shirts on, strutting around like peacocks. They're Arsenal fans. I look at them and I honestly feel physically sick. Because I'm looking and I'm thinking, if you've had your way, we wouldn't have Arteta in charge. We wouldn't have Marino in the club. Kivior wouldn't be playing. If them fans had got their way, we wouldn't be where we are. And now they're strutting around like it's like there's some kind of hero for the club. They're not a hero for the club. Those fans are a hindrance to the club, right? And they always will be. And unfortunately now, us decent fans, we outweigh those bad fans, so we laugh at them. But it does make me feel physically sick when I see them. Maybe it's because I'm an old geezer. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But, I can't be doing with them. And when we go to Paris Saint-Germain in a couple of weeks' time, regardless of what I think we're going to win the first leg comfortable, by the way, 2 or 3 or 4 even. Right? I really do. And we're going to go to Paris Saint-Germain and hopefully we only get 2,000 tickets. There'll be 2,000 top fans. I won't look at any of them and think, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? Last week you were screaming at the telly that Marino was shit. What? And now you're here screaming that he's brilliant. You hypocritical tossers. Right, I'm done, Ferg. Cut me off.
I'd say don't
we
stop, mate. I think you're spot on. And I'll tell you what, the one thing that annoyed me yesterday was people taking photos with him in your way. And I just don't understand if you're an Arsenal fan why you take photos with him. But the last thing I was going to add on Erdegaard is I think people that
photos of what?
With them, with the other fans, taking pictures
Oh.
together. Yeah. But I don't think people really understand Erdegaard as a player and what he actually brings to the team and what sort of player he is. And he's more of a tempo player, and people don't give him enough credit for the way he's always looking to get the ball late off and keep the ball moving. And he's not necessarily your classical 10 that's going to get you loads of goals and loads of assists. He had a very good season a couple of years ago where he did chip in with a lot more goals. And I think that's the thing that's dropped off, that maybe is where his criticism's been, is he's not had enough goals. But you even look at the Real Madrid game, that first goal that Saka scored, he didn't get the goal, he didn't get the assist, but he's near enough to pre-assist. He's the guy that gets the ball, that moves it, that takes it again, then gives it to the next player to give the final ball. And people, I think, should be looking at a lot more of what he does indirectly for the game and also without the ball.
Yeah, personally, I can see all that. As for having the captain's armband, myself, I looked at the way Rice was over the last few games and the way Rice has been at West Ham and has been as he's grown as a player with us. I think he's a natural captain for us, where Odegaard doesn't actually look like a natural captain.
I don't agree with that, mate, to be honest with you. I think he's just as vocal at times on the pitch, but it's people's idea of what a captain is, that you have to be this loud, vocal person.
This is what we talked about, yeah.
A captain isn't someone that has to just be loud and shout his mouth. Like, anyone can go on there and be loud. Doesn't make you a good captain. He's a player that leads by example, and everyone talks about how hard he works in training as well. And this isn't just match days or a couple of times a week, mate. This is every single day that he's in training and he works his nuts off. And he's setting the example for the other players, for the youngsters, for everyone to come through and say, this is the standard you have to live by day. And that's what Arteta is trying to instill in this team, is that you have to work hard every minute of every day if you want to be a top player in the top club. And that's what he's showing in his efforts.
But instilled my comment to you when we're sitting watching the game, or standing watching the game under blue barriers and steel girders, was... you came along and said, look at Rice. He's in the referee's ear all the time. He's talking to him, continuously managing the referee the whole game. And I commented on how well the referee actually, I felt that the referee was, because I think he's been managed by Rice.
I love the way Rice was in his ear, but you don't just have one captain as such. You need a strong core of people that are leaders. And we've got that in our team now. We've got Gabriel and Saliba. We've got the likes of Rice. We've got Erdegaard. We've got Saka's. We've got those guys that are leaders in our team. But your captain is your bread and butter. And I think people are forgetting the captains we've had over the last 15, 20 years. We've had some terrible captains that have represented our club and called themselves a captain. And this guy is everything I would want in a captain to represent our club, because he is the true leader of that badge that he wears on his chest, not the likes of William Gallas and the like that we've had in previous years. You can't compare them. And Gallas was a lot more vocal than Erdegaard. Didn't make him a good captain.
Alex, I'll come to you in a second, but Trevor, just only because living through various eras of football and the way football has changed and transformed, and society has transformed and changed, and everything else, and even management of people and how people interact with each other has changed a lot. Where do you rate Odegaard or Rice or any of those as captains in relation to the likes of Adams and George Graham, etc.?
That's a hard comparison to
Sorry, mate. Sorry. I mean, you know what I'm trying to get at, sort of thing.
Look, right. What kind of captain does the club want, right? At the moment, they've got Odegaard, and I can see Odegaard as doing nothing wrong. You know, he's not shouting and screaming his head off, but you can tell he's a leader. You watch his actions and you watch when he does talk. Now, Rice, I think, would also make a good captain, but a completely different style of captain. He'd be a captain that's in the referee's ear a lot more, urging his players on with a lot more emotion, maybe. But maybe this squad doesn't need that. Maybe this squad is starting to flourish, and it is starting to flourish because it's got a captain like Martin Odegaard. Because that's the way they're enjoying playing with him, enjoying playing for a captain like that, and it's lifting the side. Now, you mentioned Tony Adams. Tony Adams was much more in the Declan Rice mould. but he lifted his side. So maybe at that time, what the team needed was an Adams. I honestly think that I'm watching how our team's playing, how it's improving, how you can see it maturing in front of your very eyes. And I'm thinking, well, Martin Odegaard must be doing something right. Because if he weren't the captain of choice or the players didn't like him, we wouldn't be getting the effort levels we're getting now, I don't think.
Alex, being the youngest of us all on here, working in sport from a slightly different angle as you do, how do you see captains changing? Have you seen do you think captains are different from the times of the Tony Adams, George Grahams to the way they are now? Do they have to be? And is that the key? I think it was the 5 captains. It was a couple of seasons ago that we talked about within the squad when Granit Xhaka and Odegaard and so on. Is that the key that you need to get past, say, the likes of PSG and Barcelona or Inter Milan to win the Champions League?
Alex, hold 1 second. Ferg, I must just George Graham was never Arsenal captain, mate.
Oh, I thought he was captain.
No. When George Graham played for the Arsenal, Frank McClintock was captain.
Okay, sorry, my mistake. I'm too young.
Yeah, but absolutely, you are. Yeah, you are.
I do still remember. I mean, it has changed a lot of captaincy, and I think the good old days, you had one captain, and as you just mentioned now, a lot of teams have like captaincy groups, and will choose 4 or 5 different players. But I was sat here thinking of the Euros last summer, where they implemented the thing where it was only the captain that was allowed to speak to the referee. Otherwise, you'd get a yellow card. So that could be a thing going forward that could change it a bit again, if that's implemented into the top leagues and the Champions League. If that's a thing where it will only be the captain that will be allowed to talk to the referee, that will change the way teams pick and choose their captains as well. Because then you'd probably want someone in the midfield. A lot of teams still have goalkeepers as captains. That probably won't be a thing if it's only the captain allowed to speak to the referee. So yeah, I mean, it has changed, and it probably will change over the years again, with the way teams pick and choose their captains and what types of characters and positions get chosen as captains.
I suppose we need to probably look at this, bring it to a little bit of a close. Is that a natural point for it? We got Wednesday night. We got Palace. What we got score prediction wise on that? Alex, I'll go to you first on that.
Oh, I think Dan mentioned they'll probably rotate a few players for their semi-final, and we're coming in with such momentum. I think they drew their last game, Palace. I'm not sure, but I think we'll win. I'm going to go for 2-0.
Dan, your score prediction on this one?
Going to go 3-0.
3-0. Trevor, your score prediction on this one? Bearing in mind there will be rotation, but they've got some. They're quite good recently. Our Palace.
Bear in mind,
they lost last year.
Give me a second when I say this, right? Because to be quite frank, I don't give a damn about the Palace game. I genuinely don't, right? I want the Arsenal to win 11-0. I want the Arsenal to put 11 players on the field, and I want the 11 to come off not injured, and that'll do for me. I've been a bit funny on here tonight, but I don't know what's going on with me, boys. I genuinely, right, heartfelt, don't know what's going on with me. Just been getting emotional for no reason at all. I'm just so excited and so nervous, and just want us to win this bloody Champions League. Donna had the radio on this morning, had Alexa on, and she put North London Forever on. And I had a tear running down my face, right? I'm an absolute emotional mess, right? So I'm sorry if I've been I'm not being down, so I'm not down. Just that my mind's doing overtime all the time. Every different situation. I've played that Champions League final about 20 times today, I have. I'm knackered with it. So Yeah, I genuinely and honestly, I want us to beat Palace because I want us to keep our place in the league. And most importantly, Dan mentioned it earlier, but about 25, 30 minutes ago, I want us to keep the momentum because in previous seasons, once we've started winning games, we ain't stopped, right? We ain't stopped winning. And we just seem to hit that little bit of momentum now, and so that could take us all the way. So a safe win against Palace, players more important than points, go to PSG with a full squad, keep the momentum going with a big win.
Right, that's us. I'm like you. I'm just nervous and excited. The talk about stars being aligned. The talk about sadly the Pope passed away today, and the talk about 1978 the Pope passed away, and an English team won the Champions League in 2005. Pope John Paul II passed away, and Benedict passed away today. And all on each occasion. An English team has won the Champions League. Listen, you can read anything you want into anything, but I really, really do feel that if we can turn up and hold our own against PSG, we can go all the way to the final, and then the final is the final. I really, really do feel that.
Ferg, listen, we've got these 4-starred questions, mate.
Yes, mate.
We've got to answer them. I've got them here, mate. Right.
Do you want to chat with the boys? I just need to nip out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, change it back.
Oh,
Aside, Dan,
Almost.
this is one for you and me, mate. I am still
listening.
I'll go for about 10 seconds. Barry, aside from the match, impressions of the Bernabeu Stadium. For me, I thought inside it was breathtaking, magnificent. Outside, extremely underwhelming. And why on earth we need rows and rows and rows of heaters in a football stadium, I will never, ever know. What has the world come to? Dan?
Right. Yeah, inside the stadium, probably the best I've ever seen, never been to. The 5 tiers in the Bernabeu are very impressive with the roof on as well. I actually quite like the heaters, if I'm totally honest, mate. It was quite nice to stand there in just a t-shirt and not feel like I was freezing cold like we did at the Metropolitano for the Atletico game. But
you weren't jumping around enough then, because I was jumping around and I was too hot. I had my boobs out, which I normally do anyway, for the first time ever because I was hot.
I was going to say, I thought you'd love that. There's more reason to get your top off. But on the outside of the stadium, I think on the outside of the stadium, I think it looks quite impressive, but I think it looks like it's not finished yet. And I think they need some colour and some badges and some things around there to make it look better. Because at the minute, it looks a little bit like a spaceship that's landed in the middle of nowhere, and it's just like in the middle of a city, and it's just there. But yeah, if anyone's looking to visit, it's absolutely got to be one on the top of your list. I think it's a brilliant stadium to go and visit.
Make sure you go inside it as well. And if you can't get inside it, there's 1 or 2 bars around underneath the stands where you can go in and have a beer and you can see the pitches. Well, there's actually, I think, about 3, but there's only 2 me and Dan can go in now because we're barred from the other one. But
they encourage singing in the bars when you go in, so make sure you do.
and they encourage topless singing.
Yeah, we blew that one away earlier. I'm not going back over it, folk. I'm not doing it. Question for me. Oh, me and Dan again. Sorry, boys.
should we just dive out now?
I could have just gone then, couldn't I?
Yeah.
About the Madrid game, do you think that a minute's silence at the Madrid killed the atmosphere a bit? Well, firstly, it wasn't a minute's silence. They sort of played this music in the background, and the Arsenal fans were singing through the first 15 or 20 seconds of it. And that's mainly because no one actually said it was happening. And out of respect to the Arsenal fans, as soon as they realised what was going on, it went quiet, and we let the music play. And I personally thought it was not a bad way of doing it, Dan.
I didn't like the music. I thought it was a bit strange, if I'm honest. I think either give it dead silence and respect, or make it noisy and clap and applause and something along those lines. But I absolutely agree. I think it did kill the atmosphere a little bit. I think whenever something's a bit solemn, it always does kill the atmosphere in the stadium. That's why I'm much more a fan of a minute's applause and making some noise to to do that for anyone that's passed away. I think what also people need to know is that in that stadium, a lot of it is still pumped over the speakers. And even when they score, like the Madrid sounds that they pump in that stadium, very, very loud over the speakers. And
like Anfield.
A little bit, yeah.
Only about 20 times more modern and better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the next one, Ferg, take over.
They've still got their hubcaps on their cars outside the ground as well.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Burnley and Leeds. I actually like a trip to Burnley, and I've had a couple of trips to Burnley. Well, actually, no. I've been to Burnley once. I've had tickets to Burnley 3 times. Ended up in hospital twice before them, so I couldn't make it. But I like Burnley. I thought it's a proper shithole, but I actually liked it. I thought they were all right. I know some of the lads said that they don't particularly like us too much because we're so Southerners and everything else. Leeds. Great stadium to go to. Don't really like the Leeds fans that much because they were the only ones who actually threatened to slash me throat because they thought I was a Cockney wanker. And
it's understandable, though, really.
They didn't listen to my accent.
Absolutely understandable.
Clearly not.
But I'm looking for 2 great away days. That's the way.
For me, I don't care who comes up. They'll probably both go straight back down again. Couldn't give a damn. I'll go to Burnley, I'll go to Leeds, like going to both the grounds. But
I'll tell you what I will say on it. Stoke, how crap were Stoke? They got absolutely battered today.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Don't care.
I don't care at all. Alex?
Don't care.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Yeah. Dan?
And the last one. Anybody know if Gary Neville shaved his head yet?
Yeah, he's sitting above me. Look.
No, that's
it is a bit red, isn't it?
It's brown.
Can I just interrupt this live stream to say that Forest have just gone 2-0 up inside 10 minutes against Tottenham?
Oh, you love to see it.
Lovely. I said it the other day, and I'll say it again now. Right, Alex, you're the stat man and the table man. Tottenham Hotspur are extremely lucky that we've had 3 crap sides in the Premier League this year. Normally, we only have 1 or 2. And then there's a big scrap for that 3rd spot, And this year if they hadn't have had that 3rd crap side, Tottenham Hotspur would have been right in the mire now.
I did look it up as well. I looked up the average points needed to stay in the Premier League, and I think it was around 34. So they are a bit above that. But I mean, you're right. If it wasn't 3 crappy teams like Ipswich, Leicester, and Southampton, they could have been in trouble, and same with Man U as well.
And West Ham. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Boys, thank you very much. I will see you, Dan, on Wednesday. Trevor, you with the trains and everything else won't be down Wednesday. Alex, you're waiting for PSG, aren't you?
Yes.
See you in 8 days.
Shout out to the guys in chat. They know who they are.
Oh, you've got a brief, have you, Alex?
Yes, I'm coming over for the PSG
game. Oh, lovely. Look forward.
And your dad's coming as well, I think, isn't he?
Yes, he is. Yep.
There we go. Right. It's
counting down the days.
Alex, we'll see you at 1:30 start on that day.
Mate, it's going to be early. I'm on the early flight over.
I need to try and work something out. But yeah, hey, yeah.
Big day.
You have been listening to Guns and Yellow Ribbons, an Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans for Arsenal fans.
His name is Gabby.
He's from
Sao Paulo. And he plays for
Arsenal.
383 of you on here. Split between myself and Trevor's Twitter. Some of us on YouTube as well. Please, if you do get a chance, go across to YouTube, like and subscribe. It really does help us out, and it helps our egos. Up the Arsenal.
I've only just noticed that. Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Nearly 400 people. Thank you, people. Thank you very much indeed.
Should we treat them to a song?
Yeah, it's got to happen right now.
absolutely love that when it fades out the music and you just hear the fans singing. It is absolutely stunning.
Ferg, bang on, mate. I loved it when they just let it go for a few seconds after kickoff and the fans just got together and lifted it without the music. Stunning.
Yeah.
Stunning.
Yeah. Right, boys, been a great show. Thanks as always, everybody. Up the Arsenal. Enjoy what's left of your Easter. We won't be back on Friday because actually, easy, quick way to solve out Friday's podcast. Are Tottenham going to lose against Liverpool?
No. What does it matter?
Are Tottenham going to lose against Liverpool?
Well, of course they are. Tottenham don't beat anybody at the moment. Do
Okay,
they?
and are Ipswich going to lose against Newcastle?
Yes.
Well, yeah.
So I want league's done.
I want
The
a
league's
straight
done.
crash down to the conference. Ipswich for me now. After the conduct of their fans. Premier League to Championship to 1, 1 to 2, and I'll see you in the conference when you come and play Boston United. I don't like Ipswich anymore.
Yeah, so that means the league is done. So there's no need for a preview on Friday. We'll speak to you next Monday ahead of Arsenal versus PSG. Up the Arsenal, fuck the Spurs. Thank you, Arnie.
Thanks for listening to Guns and Yellow Ribbons, an Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans for Arsenal fans. Follow us on Facebook at Guns and Yellow Ribbons or Twitter at Guns and Ribbons. And remember to rate and review us too. Up the Arsenal.